Hello, let's continue. So let's make some more props. I got a list of things, we're gonna make them. So I'm gonna jump over into Blender. And first thing, let's make a little banner to hang on the wall. So A to select everything, X, delete. And I'm gonna add in a cylinder. So Shift A to open your add menu. Mesh, cylinder. Crap. I'm gonna delete that one and add another one because once it's added in, you can adjust certain things about it. We don't need it to have 32 vertices. I'm going to change it to 16. That way it's less performance demanding. Not that it's going to be overly performance demanding. But anyway, I'm going to R to rotate, X to rotate on the X axis only, and typing in 90, we can get it to rotate an exact 90 degrees. I'm going to S to scale, Shift Y to scale it on everything but the Y. This is going to be the bar that holds the banner. Let me get the mannequin in. So file, import, let's bring in the mannequin so we can tell how big we need this to be. Blender Manny. Oh, actually, you know what would make more sense to import? Import FBX. Dungeon wall. Let's actually hang it on the wall and then we'll know. Well, that's the doorway. That's fine. Get out of here, buddy. So I'll rotate this on the Z-axis 90 degrees. Gonna look at it from the front angle with 1 on the number pad and then just pick a spot on the wall where I would want a banner to hang. Out there is looking right. Then we'll scale, Shift X, and just scale it down to about something like that. Looks good. Alright, and we'll model it right here, and then we'll reposition it back in the center for exporting. But this way we can see it on the wall. I'm gonna grab it and bring it out on the Y-axis. Grab its G. Tab into edit mode, and I'm gonna add 2 loop cuts with Control R. Scroll the wheel up to get 2. Scale them on the X-axis to spread them out a little bit, right there. Tab out, Control A to bring up our application menu and hit scale. That way it applies the scale for when we do our bevel right now. Tab back into edit mode, Control B, and scale that or bevel that out a little bit. About there is fine. That might be a little bit too much. So Control Z back. Just a nice little iron ring. Alright, I'm gonna hold Alt before I click E to select extrude faces along normals. Just bring that out a little bit. That looks decent. And the way I'm doing it slowly like that, instead of it scaling, is just holding Shift and it slows down and makes it more precise. Alright, so I'm going to tap 3 to go into face select mode and get these bottom 2 faces by shift clicking both of them. Other side, grab these 2. E to extrude, don't want them to go straight down. I'm going to tap S to scale on the Z axis, and then hitting 0 we can flatten out those faces so that they're even. Then we'll E to extrude one more time. Right clicking will disable it so we can scale this out a little bit. Oh, I don't want it scaled like that though. So I'm going to come up here and click individual origins so that they scale according to where they each are. And that ought to be fine. E to extrude it down a little bit. Like that. That looks decent. And alright, what we'll do is we'll just click these faces. Click these faces. I don't really want it that wide though. That'll be fine. Right click if you have loop tools. We'll bridge it. Yeah, it looks alright. Oh, I know. We'll scale it in on the middle a little bit. That looks cool. I like it. I'm digging it. And now what we can do, we can go 2 to go into edge select mode. Grab this middle one. Let's just apply our scale one more time. Tab out and then Control A to bring that up. And then I'm going to bevel this middle one with Control B. Just like that. Just a nice thin little banner. And then I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can E to extrude it. About there. I'm going to tap the decimal point on my number pad so I can get down here. And then I'm going to hit K to go into my knife tool, holding Shift on the keyboard so that it locks that green dot to the middle. Click. Same thing on the back one. Enter. And now we have that little edge right in the middle. I'm going to click it. Zoom out way again. G to grab, Z on the Z axis. And then down we go. It's a little wide. Maybe scale it in on the X a little bit. That looks alright. It's not bad. It's not bad. Maybe we can bring these up a little bit. Oh, that adds a nice little touch to it. I like it. And let's see how it looks with a modifier. I'm going to click this little wrench for the modifiers tab, and what if I add a bevel? That looks nice. Sleek. Shade smooth? No, shade auto smooth. That looks pretty good. Look pretty good. I like it. Alright. But you can leave a bevel if you want. Hey, you know what? I'm going to. Why not? It looks good. I like it. Alright, so now the way we would texture this bad boy. Let's select everything. Right click. You can select everything by tapping A on the keyboard. Right click. If you right click and you don't see that unwrap faces, you might be in the wrong selection mode. So it kind of looks like I have the faces selected, but I'm actually in edge select mode, and that's why the glow is there. If you have everything selected and you tab in or tap 3, then you can go in. You have to be in the face select mode to unwrap faces. See here I'm in vertex. Damn it. And here I'm in edge. Now I'm in face and I can unwrap faces. So we'll smart UV project. I like to put just a little bit of an island margin. So what this does, let me open. Why is it not working? There's usually a little spot you can click right here that'll let you open a new window. What is going on? It doesn't do it now. Oh, it's because I had that stupid thing open. Okay. I'm going to click this little button right here. I'm going to go to UV editor. It's already, did I already UV project it? Or does it just automatically? I don't know. Let's try it. Smart UV project. So with this at 0, it'll arrange it like that. Although it's auto arrangement, it looked pretty nice. So I'm going to right click Smart UV project. I'm going to add 0.1 right here. And then now it adds a little bit more space in between everything. It can make texturing a little bit easier. But I'm actually going to just Control Z everything because this one looks nice. Oh, but wait, where's my plane? Okay, so it got this one, it just doesn't have. Alright, screw it. Let's just do it. Smart UV project 0.1. Boom. Alright. Now we can open our polygon add-on. Go to the free section. Go to the free. No internet access. Internet's messing up again, so we're going to just have to low poly texture it. So what we'll do is I'm going to collapse this window real quick. And we're going to click this little material tab right here and click new. And for the first material, we'll call this banner bar. And we will make that a gray color. Let's hold Z and go into material mode, and that looks alright, but not great. That looks a little bit better, I like it. Alright, and now we can tab into select mode, and whatever we select, we can apply the next material. So clicking this little plus icon will let us add a new material slot. I'm going to call this one banner, I can't call it banner holder, banner frame, I guess that thing would be called. This right here. These can, ooh, this would look nice as like a rusty color, maybe. But I'm gonna just select these two faces right here and holding control, tapping the plus icon above my, or on my number pad. But I don't really want these. So I'm gonna control minus one time and then see. Oh yeah, I just did it one too many times. Oh no, the bottom. Alright. I'm gonna shift click and select these. That'll work. And then I'm going to click my next material slot and assign that so that I can add the base color to be like a kind of bronze. Oh, why did I click shift? Kind of a bronzish orange. I guess that's what you could call that. That looks decent. And then this would look pretty good as kind of a rusted color. So, oof. All right. Let's just try to face select everything. That gets everything. Alright, if you click C on the keyboard, then it opens up this brush selection mode. And wherever that little white circle is at when you click, that is what you'll select. Sometimes it can make this process a little bit easier. The wall makes it difficult, but just gonna select that wall, hit H, and just get it out of the way for a second. So just selecting every face that we want the colors to be applied to. I'm gonna tap the decimal point to zoom in and get all that, but not that. And it is a very tedious process. But that is, I mean, it really pays off the more time you put into it. Like if you just try to rush through something, it usually comes out looking rushed, you know what I'm saying? Oh, and if you have this C key pressed and you have this little white circle, holding the middle mouse button will let you deselect in case you need to. So just rush through. Don't need that. Bet y'all probably wishing I edited now, huh? Alright, now let's add a new material slot, and this is going to be banner attachment. That'll work. I'll assign that to that right there. And I think that would be good as like a dark reddish kind of rusted orange brown. Yeah, it looks alright. Alright, so now we need to do our banner. And this you can really kind of pick whatever color you want. I'm just gonna do, oh, you know what would be cool? Let's right click and subdivide this bad boy. Did it do it? Right click, subdivide. Is it not subdividing? I bet it's subdividing on the wrong spot. Okay, so it seems like our normals might be inverted, so I'm going to A to select everything, Control Shift in, and that will recalculate the normals. I want them on the outside. And that looks like it's still not doing what I want it to do. Blender's finicky like that sometimes. Well, that's an interesting look. But you know what? I kind of like it. We'll make it like a little, like a blue flower on a gold black background, or vice versa. Why not? So this is the actual banner base color. I was gonna try to subdivide it and then just paint like a Celtic cross or something. But you can, if you can get more faces, you can select which ones you want it to be. So this is gonna be the banner. Well, that looks kind of cool, actually. Make that a gold instead. I mean, it's not great, but it's, you know, something cool. So select all the outer, actually, you know what? Select this interface. And then you can just deselect the middle. Shift select. Oh, let's just select. Shift select. Control plus plus plus. Tab into face select mode and then just deselect the middle faces. And then we'll add a new one. That is banner background. Could call this banner logo or something. So we'll assign that. And I want this to be like something like a blue and gold. That would look pretty interesting. Almost look like a badge. Oh. And then we can just assign that there. And that looks decent. So I'm going to select this and click this little square icon to go back into the object properties and then put it right back in the middle. You don't have to put it down on the Z-axis if you wanted to. If you want to, you can just leave it where it's at. That way you just drag it out and it'll attach. I'm probably just going to go ahead and do it though. That way wherever my mouse is at, that's where it'll be. But if you want it to be a set height from the ground, you can just leave it like where it was. And then it'll always be at that height. I'm going to show you a different method though, in case you want to do it in the engine, or you have another prop that's like this, but you want them all to be the same height. So let's file. External data. Going to click automatically pack resources. Let's save real quick. Banner. David Banner. Alright, now it's saved. Let's go to export. FBX. Over on the right, we're going to limit to the selected objects. What is my other cube? I don't know what that is. Alright. Oh, the wall. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to file, export, FBX, limit to selected objects, just to make sure it's just that cylinder and not the wall going out. Geometry, I'm going to go smoothing, face, export. Now, opening up Unreal, importing it from my desktop, banner. Yeah, create new materials, not a skeletal mesh, import. Banner has, yeah, it keeps saying that. It doesn't say it on any of the other projects, but whatever. And now, ta-da! A banner. I know I apologize for the look of it. It's just or the textures of it. It's just my internet's been down for a bit. It keeps going in and out. So now what you can do if you want to match their height in here is just take note of what Z number they're on, or you can just duplicate the one you got with that Alt click and drag. Maybe we'll just make it a stylized little low poly art dungeon anyway. Alright, next on the list, let's do a little bench to sit in the corner. Back into Blender. Delete that. Now for a bench, I'm going to start with a cube. drag it up. S to scale on the Z axis and scale it in. I'm gonna get my Manny up. Yeah, I'm gonna bring in Manny again. Scale it on the Y axis in. Move him over behind it a little bit. Set it down about knee height is about where benches would be. That way when you, well, maybe a little bit above. About there somewhere, so that when you sit, you just bend at the legs. That ought to be good. Yeah, about knee height. Tab into edit mode. Grab this back face and extrude it out a little bit. We're gonna Control R and add 2 edge loops in here. Scale it on the X axis to, might have to go back to median point. Scale it on the X axis to separate them. And we'll add 1 more edge loop. I guess we didn't have to extrude though, we could have just done that, but either way works. Let's grab the faces underneath at the corners and extrude them down to about here. About here. Now I'm going to extrude again and extrude 1 more time to finally set it on the red line, which will represent the floor. And the reason I did it that way is because I'm going to tab into face select mode and select both these faces, right click, loop tools, bridge. And then we can create a little support for our bench pretty easily. And if you don't have loop tools, it's a free add-on that ships with Blender, so just edit, preferences, add-ons, and just type it in and search for it. Bridge. And that looks aight. Let's grab this and move it up a little bit so it looks like a cushiony little bench. To inset that face 1 more time. I'm going to scale it in on the Y. Maybe just to lift it up a little bit higher. And then we'll grab these 2. Scale it up. I don't really want it like that. So I'm going to E to extrude, but right click to back out of it, grab it, and then move it straight up on the Z axis. I don't like that they got that 1 point, so I'm going to tap S to scale, Z to scale on the Z axis, 0 to even it, flatten it out. And let's move it down a little bit. Extrude it up 1 more time, and then up 1 more time, just a little bit further. Tab out, Control A, apply the scale, tab back in, and Control B to bevel it down and give it a nice little rounded edge. That looks nice. Now we'll select this face, right click, loop tools, bridge, and a nice little bench. A good enough bench. So we'll go into material mode, add a new one, and this will be the base color of it. So it's a wooden bench, so we'll just give it a nice kind of wooden color. And then I want the, I guess the cushiony part right here. It could be like a red. So this is the bench. We'll add a new one that's called the cushion. We'll assign it to that and then just make it like a red or a gold or whatever color you like. That's looking pretty cool. I do want to bump up its roughness. So right here are a lot of the material parameters. So we can adjust the roughness up and it'll be a little bit less reflective of that light. So see how the wood is shining and that is not? That's how you can do that. And if you want it to reflect less light, turn down that specularity or turn it up. Get that customized look you want. That's a nice vibrant red. If you're curious what the RGB is, you want to match it, it's just 0.8. 0.8, and it looks good. 0.8 on the red. And that's wood, it wouldn't be that shiny. And that's looking dynamite. Alright, so I'm going to file, export, FBX. Since we clicked that automatically pack resources, we don't have to worry about what that does. Is it packs all the materials and stuff with it. I don't think it applies if it's just these kind of materials, because those ship automatically, and if you're using textures or something, those are packed outside. But just in case, I always click it. So I'm going to export FBX. This is my bench. And then I'm going to delete it. But you might want to, if you want to save it and make alterations later, I would say save as. But I'm going to move on to the next one, which is a bookshelf. So I'll just import all these at once later on instead of doing it each time. So let's go cube. 1 into front view, G and Z to grab and move it up. Scale it on the Y axis to about there. Make it about mannequin height, or if you reached up, there'd be room, because that's about how tall bookshelves usually seem to be. Or if you want to be able to make its height different without having to reposition it on the floor, tab into edit mode, 3 to select the top face, grab it, and Z, and you can just, then you don't have to try to scale it down and then reposition it, scale it, you just move it where you want it. So, alright, I'm going to tab into edit mode and grab this front face. I'm going to I to inset the face just a little bit. That looks decent. And then I'm going to extrude that back to the very end. I'm going to, Control R to add 3 loop cuts. I'm going to move them up. I'm going to scale them on the Z axis to just kind of take out a little bit of that extra space. I'm going to 2 into edge select mode and grab all these edges. Tab out, Control A to apply our scale just to make sure our bevel applies appropriately. And Control B to extrude that out. Then I'm going to go into face select mode and just grab these 3 right here, because when you first bevel, it'll have this over here selected and this, and I don't want that. So I'll just extrude that out a little bit. And then that's pretty much a bookshelf. We can do one more thing, which is K to go into knife, shift, select to the middle of both of these and enter. And then I'll select both, inset it, tapping it twice so that I get 2. And then extruding that out. Let's extrude the whole thing out. So I'm just going to select all the edge faces as well. Extrude the whole thing out to about in line with that bottom shelf. Maybe out just a little bit further if you wanted to. And then grab both of these and extrude them out just a little bit further. And inset them both again. Scale them up. Oh, go back to individual origins. Scale them both on the x-axis, like, I don't know what happened there. Like that. And then we'll slide them. I'm going to grab this one and move it in. Grab this one and move it in. Grab them both and then extrude just a little bit in. And a nice little bookshelf. For this one, let's go into the modifier and add a bevel. Dynamite. I'm going to increase the segments though. So right here you can adjust how many little edges it'll add in. So I don't know if I can zoom in close enough to make it visible. For me, 2 usually works pretty well. And that looks dynamite. So alright, I'm going to go into material mode, add a new one that is base, the base color of it. So it'll be kind of a brownish also. That's like a red. Can right click and shade it smooth if I, ooh, I'm going to auto smooth though. That's looking nice, but let's add some accenting to it. So I'm gonna just click on this right here, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that. Oh, and that, yeah. And we'll just call this accent. And it'll be the same kind of color, but darker. And that looks pretty nice. Oh, we can add another color for this. So this will be just like a brass color to represent where you can grab and slide these doors open. So this one and this one, brass. That's looking good. Alright, so I'm going to file, export. This one is bookshelf. Everything over here should still be selected, so we'll limit to selected objects. Smoothing is face. Export. Alright, let's delete that. Next, we will put in a cup. A cup is pretty simple. We don't even... Oh yeah, we got the table. Well, let's do this other round table first. So let's add in a round table. This will be like a lunch table where the knights can sit. So we'll add a cylinder, S, and scale it down on the Z. Grab it and move it up to about waist height on the mannequin. Roughly. Well, just anywhere above his knees. Somewhere mid-thigh, probably, because when he sits in the chair, you'd want his knees to be able to go under the table. So I'm going to tab into edit mode, 3 to face select this bottom one, I to inset, I to inset one more time, because I want my sloping down to start right about there when I grab with the G and move in. I'm going to inset one more time, and this one I'm going to extrude down almost all the way to the floor. Right about ankle height. And then extrude it again. So I'm going to go through in face select mode and select these two in the front, these two on the side, these two in the back, and I'm shift clicking to select them all. Alt E and extrude along normal, and we'll just take that out like so. 2 into edge select mode, and alt clicking will let us select multiple at a time. Shift alt clicking will allow us to add to that selection. I'm just going to select the entire ring. And then I'm going to grab it and move it up to about there. What we can do also is grab these two faces, scale it on the x-axis and zero it. Nope. On the y-axis and zero it. And then scale it in on the x-axis if we wanted to. But I'm not going to worry about that. It looks alright. It looks decent. What we can do is up top we can add in a little ridge. So we'll E to extrude and then, or I to inset and then E to extrude it down a little bit. That looks pretty good. Alright, so let's add our bevel to this. 2 segments and it looks decent. Let's go into the material mode and we'll apply the base table color, which will be like a yellowish kind of pine looking, because it's for the knights, it's for their lunch. It's gonna be a cheap table. Adjust the roughness and specularity. Maybe a different kind of, like whatever a pine, not a Simpsons table, like a pine-ish or a oak, you know, like a cheap wood color. not like cheap, not insulting y'all if y'all have that table. I have a table like this. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? One that they ain't gonna. I'm gonna stop talking now. Now we can add a top color if we wanted to. If and you want to, just add that top color. Let's say you want it to be like a green felt table. It looks like I'm in Vegas. I'm gonna undo that. I'm just gonna leave it pine. That looks fine. Oh, if you need to delete a material slot, you can just. Oh, I'm in edit mode. You gotta be out of edit mode, and then you can boom, just like that. And that's looking table-like. It needs something. What does it need? Let's just add a tablecloth to it. All right, I'm gonna select this top face, Shift D, and move it up. That will separate a face out, a duplicate of it. And then we can hit P to separate it by selection. And now it's 2 separate objects. We can click the, once we tab out of edit mode, we can click this one, Control A to apply the scale. Then we can scale it out a little bit further actually, and then Control A and apply the scale. Tab, right click, subdivide. Is subdivision not working on my computer today? My computer has been acting bizarre, to say the least. So that's upsetting. So let's just create in-gun straight cut fractal. Why are you not doing it today? One second, I gotta check something. Oh, you do it. It must be just this piece. Okay, so it is working, it's just not wanting to work here. Alright, well, then we will just add in another cylinder. Tab into edit mode, select it, Control I to invert our selection. So if I have this selected and I hit Control I, now I have everything else but this selected. I'm going to delete those vertices. I'm going to tab out of that, or Control Z out of that. I'm going to delete those faces. Now I'm going to select what I got left and move it closer to that orange dot. The orange dot represents its world origin, so that is essentially where the object is actually located. Now I'm going to right click and subdivide. You son of a bitch. I want a round tablecloth, bro. Alright, I'm just going to do it on a plane. Scale it out. Too much. Alright, scale it out. Tab, subdivide. I'm going to subdivide it 100 times. That might be too much. This kind of depends on how your computer handles things. So if you might need to do fewer if you need to, or if you can handle more, go for it. But this will be fine. I got 75 on it. I'm going to add a collision. Oh, let's apply that. I'm going to add a collision to the table and a cloth modifier to my tablecloth. And now I'm going to go into the cloth physics tab, physics properties. And for the quality steps on the cloth, I'm going to bump it up to 10. And the collision, there you go. give it self collisions, and the quality, I'm going to bump this up to 10 also. This might make it take, this is also the performance demanding part, so don't put those too high or else you might crash out your engine, or your thingy, blender. So let's just play it real quick. And it falls through the air. I'm going to pause it there. Oh, no, I'm not. Keep going. Might need to make it bigger. Looks like it's about to flop up onto the table. Pause. Yeah, it went wrong. So back it up. Let's see, I'm actually going to put this back at 2. And instead of that, maybe 7. And... okay. Let's see, maybe scale it out a little bit more. Apply that real quick. Maybe it's a problem with the self collision. Maybe we don't need that one. Let's try it one more time. Five. Seems counterintuitive that I'm lowering the quality steps, but it usually works pretty good. Let's try 0.0. Let's lower that a little bit. Maybe that'll help. Maybe the tablecloth is too big. Could that be a potentiality? It's still doing it. Maybe now if I move it out 10. That's where nothing ever wants to work when you record a video. Like I can make 100 tablecloths and it'll work out fine. And then the one time I'm recording is like, guess what we're not doing today? Stiffness, tension, 5, compression, I don't know what that does, shear, how much the material resists shearing, bending, how much it bends, I'm assuming. I'll just bump that up, bend a little bit more, that'll help. Hopefully yours went a little bit better. Mine is being an ass. I'm just gonna accept it. I'm just gonna accept it. Let's try smoothing it. Maybe that'll help. We'll add a smooth modifier and just bump that up a bunch. Yeah, it looks passable. Like I said, it's a pain in the backside. It'll work 101 times until it's like, let's record a video on it. And it's like, no, I'm not doing it today. Now for that tablecloth, actually white looks decent, so we do need to add that material though, because if we take it into Unreal Engine without having applied a white material to it, it'll be just that grayish blocky mess. Now with this, I'm gonna click the cloth and shift click the table and Control J to join them together as one. So now wherever we move the table, it goes. The reason I click the cloth first and then the table is because the last object you select when you join with the Control J, that is the origin point that it gets. So always take that into consideration because if you have like mirror modifiers or anything like that, they react to this. So wherever it's at, they'll be applied to that. So if you got like if you're modeling a character or something, and you get it. Anyway, let's export FBX. This is lunchroom table, name it whatever you like. Make sure it still says limited to select objects, and geometry is smoothing the face, and we'll export that bad boy. Next. Shouldn't have deleted that, because let's add a plate. So I'm going to Control Z and add a cylinder. Scale it down, scale it on the Z axis and move it up. Zoom in on it with the decimal point. Scale on the Shift Z so that it's everything but the Z axis. Now scale it down on the Z a little bit more. Tab into edit mode. And we'll inset. Oh no. Let's get the size first. This looks about right for like a dinner plate type thing, right? Let's get rid of the table now. Now I'll delete it. And I'll tab into edit mode 3 to select both of these faces. And then I to inset a bit. I to inset a bit more. And then one more time. Just like that. 2 to go into edge select. I'm going to alt click this outer ring on the top and then go into proportional editing mode. G and Z and scroll this wheel in so that it just increases just like that. Now I'll select this bottom one. I'll disable proportional editing and then just move it up. And that's looking pretty plate-like to me. We can add a bevel if you like. I don't think that's actually a good idea. Maybe a subsurf? Make it a smoother plate. But yeah, you can if you want to. Make it a nice looking little plate. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna go ahead and make that plate material and make it kind of brownish, like it's a wooden plate. Anyway, it stands out on that tablecloth pretty nicely. Bump the roughness up, down the specularity, and then there's a plate. So click the square, take it back straight to the center. I'm going to go into front view so I can just make sure that that plate is right there. I want it on that red line because the red line indicates your surface. So wherever you place this, it'd be like if this was the tabletop, this is how it'll look on the tabletop. You wouldn't want a plate like that. Whew. So I'm going to set it right there. File, export, FBX, plate. And I'm going to delete that. Let's add a cup. So let's bring our table back in for a second. We'll Shift A to add another cylinder. Move it up, scale it down, move it down, and look at it from the front. Scale it down a bit more. That's about good. Scale it on everything but the Z-axis. So about there. Maybe a little bit wider. We'll tab into edit mode, grab the center face on the top and inset it so that we can extrude that down. Gonna do just a really basic little cup. 3 to go into face select mode and select all of these. Then we can just scale that out, give it a nice little cone-like look to it. And that's basically a cup. See how it looks if we add a bevel. Not great. If we increase the segments. Looking mildly better. What if we shade it smooth? I like it. That'll work. Maybe it'll be like a metal cup. That'd be cool. Metal. Let's apply that. Let's make it a, let's call this cup. And it could be like a, oh, let's do like a, that's too much orange. Let's leave it like that. And then it's like a gray cup. That'll work. And then if you're not quite happy with the size, I think I am, but you could scale it up as much as you need. Should it have a handle? Now we'll do a mug next. So let's export this one. Make sure that cup is the one that's selected. So export FBX. This is a cup. Export. Delete. Let's do like a bowl maybe? That'd be cool. Oh, but I just said mug. See how bad my focus is? So we'll add in another cylinder. Scale it down. This will be a little bit bigger. Scale it on everything but the Z. A little bit thinner. Tab, face select the top one. Inset it just like we did the last one. E to extrude it down. That'll work. And then what I'm going to do is I will Control R to add in a loop cut. I want 2 of them. And we're going to tab, well, let's S and scale those away. Need to go back to median point. About there looks good. So we're going to tab out, Control A, and apply the scale. Select these 2 and these 2. Control B to bevel that out. We'll extrude that out. S, Y, 0, no. S, X, 0. There we go. And then we'll extrude it one more time. Select all of these faces right here, not that one. Boom, 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 boom. Right click, loop tools, bridge. And then we'll add a few loop cuts around it. I want it to be an odd number because I want it to have one directly in the middle. If you have an even number, you don't have one here in the middle to select. Tab into edge select mode, turn on proportional editing, control click, or actually alt click this one in the middle. And I'm going to click this little drop down and do connected only. That way it won't mess with these back here. It'll just mess with the ones that's connected. I said that. I lied apparently. Let's get this one and this one. and this one. Came out so much prettier in my head. We'll just scale it on the Y and bring it together like that. We can grab this one and move it out a little bit more. Maybe grab these two and move them back too, so it doesn't have that weird alien shell looking thing. Dynamite. We'll add a material to it, and this will be mug. And this one can be the wooden mug, like a wooden mug. I repeat myself. That'll work. I'm going to turn that roughness up and the specularity down. And then I'll export this. Let's see, mug. Let's see. Oh, a chair. We got a table. We need a chair. So we'll get rid of that mug. We'll move this table to the front. Shift A, and I'm going to add in a cube. I'm going to scale it down to roughly booty width. So roughly the glute. Alright. Scale it on the Z. Move it up about where I want it. Where I want it is right under the knees, so that when they sit down, it's not like they gotta climb up into it. So, and is it? Alright. Oh, don't need you back. Oh, and the way I unhid everything, like I hid the table for a second, and the way I unhid it was Alt-H. It'll unhide everything in your... Or you can go up here and just click to have individual things. So now I'm going to tab into edit mode. Control R to add 2. Control R to add 7. So I'm going to grab this middle one right here, and with the proportional editing, I'm just going to add in a little bit of a divot. What if I alt click? Yeah, make sure the whole thing's selected and it should work better. So I'm gonna, there it goes. Just drag that down a little bit. And then zoom in my wheel and move it up a little bit. And that's fine like that. That looks nice. I'm gonna alt select both of these and then scale them away from each other. Now if you do that with proportional editing on, like for instance if I was too far away, or if this was still too big, it would stretch the chair out. So if you need to, just disable that. We'll scale that away from each other. Face select and get all of these. And I'm going to extrude that down. S to scale it on the Z axis and hit 0 to flatten it out. Now I'm going to grab just these. let's see. Alt 3? Nope. Control 3. There we go. This lets you, if you tap 3, it takes you to the right side. If you do Control 3, then it takes you to the left. Same thing with 1 to take you to the front, or Control 1 to take you to the back. So I'm going to extrude those 4 legs down to about here. Extrude one more time, and then the rest of the way to the floor. So just like the bench, these are going to be the little leg supports. So I'll select that one and bridge them. Same thing with these and this one. And that one. Now for the back support, just like last time, I'm going to extrude this up. I'm going to make sure it's going straight up. It is not. SZ0 flattens that out. So about, let's see if he was sitting in it. That's about where booty would be. So back would be, oh, up just a tiny bit more. Yeah. And then we'll extrude another section out. Then one more. And then just like the bench, we can Control B and bevel. Here's why it's important to apply the scale before you try to bevel. So I'm going to try to bevel this right now, and it's not working very well. Not getting what I would want. Tabbing out, Control A, apply the scale, and now when I bevel, much better. So just something to keep in mind. If you're not getting the right kind of results, try applying the scale. I'm going to click both of these and bridge them. And I'm going to add a few loop cuts in the middle of this. I'm going to edge select, alt clicking the middle one. Proportional editing, G, Y. Scroll that in. And then just a little bit of a, doesn't have to be too extreme. Grabbing that top one right in the middle and maybe moving it down a little bit. It has a weird look. What is wrong with it? Maybe I didn't have my... Maybe I had it too big. Let's kind of play around. Sometimes you gotta redo it. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. Alright. Maybe I'll just hit the one in the middle and nothing else. Then if you need to, just like select this one and that one. Just move it back a little bit further if you need to. That looks decent. So we'll just scale that down like that, and that's looking pretty alright. Now for that chair, it can be a wooden chair also, but it'll be a nice, rich mahogany. Maybe a little bit too wide. And just kind of play around with the scale till you get something you like. I'm digging it, so that'll be fine. I'm going to export this chair, and then I'm going to delete it. Let's check the chair. The stool. Alright. The stool is pretty much like this round table. Do we need a stool? We got a bench and a chair. Let's do a wall sconce. So I'm going to delete this table. I'm going to unhide my wall. Shift click to add in a cube. And scale this out a little bit. Looking from the front, I'm going to grab it and just kind of move it into place for about where a torch or wall sconce would be. I'm going to move this back to the center. Because I'm going to shift click and add a cylinder to it. And instead of trying to line it up in the center over there, I'll just do it here and then combine them and then move it. So scaling on everything but the Z-axis. Tabbing into edit mode, grabbing this face. And let's see, moving it. Turning off proportional editing, moving this up a little bit. E to extrude, right click to drop it back at its original point and scale it out. E to extrude. And then let's inset that. E to extrude that down. Grab these toppermost faces. Toppermost? Scale it out. And we'll grab this and this. Let's add a modifier. What is the wireframe? What would the wireframe look like? Sometimes it's fun to just kind of play around. Let's see. Screw, solidify, subdivision. Wireframe right there. Oh. Just the boundary? No. Replace original? No. Relative or even? Even or relative? Oh, that's looking a little bit better, but we'll do it a different way. So let's get rid of that and we'll take all of this and we'll just, and we'll P, separate that selection, and then we'll add the wireframe modifier to this. And then we'll just increase those. Oh, well, that'll work actually. So I'll just do that. Yeah, the wireframe looks nice. We can do it thicker if we need to. That looks alright. Replace, let's see, thickness even or relative. Let's just make it even. Crease edges. What does that do? I don't know. But that looks alright, so we'll just do that. Now I got a little wireframe thing. I like it. It looks cool. So I'm going to just scale this in a little bit more. Getting this box right here. Edge select to the top, scale it to just the edge, grab this bottom one, scale it to the edge like that. Grab this face, move it, grab these faces and move them both. Oh, but we got to take this in. Alright, we'll move it back. Let's try about there. Maybe about there. feel free to do a completely different wall sconce. I had an idea for how this one would look, and now I'm questioning it. That looks a little bit better. Oh, and you know what? Let's scale this in. Put it about there, and then you know what else we could do? Scale it like this, move it back like this, go into face select mode, extrude back from this one, grab this top one and extrude it up. And we can add a donut. Scale it in, bring it up. Just kind of play around until you find what you like. That's the secret of it all. Edge select this, scale it, scale it out like that. Scale it down, scale it out, move it back. It's coming along. Let's see, maybe if we scale these out a little bit more. If we need to set it back to our original rotation, we could just do that. Tab. Scale it on everything but the Z. Tab back out, and then I think it said 24.7. And then there you go, it's like a wall sconce. That one was rough. Ooh. But that's the way it goes sometimes. So I'm just gonna select everything. Oh, actually, let's materialize them separately. So for this one, it's going to be the grate, I suppose. And it's going to be a gray color. For this, the torch handle, I'll just call it the torch. It can be like a, not wood, but like a bronze maybe, copper. And then this can be like a steel gray. Or I guess the same kind of gray as that one. And then this is torch holder. And now selecting this, oh, the circle. Let's just do chain. Oops. And I'll make it like the same kind of coppery color, but maybe a little bit rougher. Alright, so select this, and this, and then Control J. Then we'll move it back to the origin. For this one, I actually want the origin to be, it doesn't have to be in line with the red line, but I want it, or at least up and down, I want it in line with it here. Because since it's going to go on the wall, I want it to sit exactly where it should on the wall. And then we'll take just a quick look and see how that looks. Looks alright. File, export, FBX, and this is a wall sconce. Export that. Okay, banner, bench, bookshelf, cup, plate, round table, chair, sconce, treasure chest. Alright, treasure chest. So let's get rid of that sconce, get rid of that wall, get rid of that cylinder. Where's that cylinder? What is that cylinder? I don't know what you are. Now we're going to, what did I say? Treasure chest and a lid for it. So we're going to Shift A, add a cube, go to the front mode, scale it up, or grab it and move it up. Tab, face select with 3, grab the top face and move it down to about knee height. Scale it in on the Y and in on the X. Oh, and see what I was talking about? When you scale, it moves according to that origin. So it can sometimes make issues. Ouch. If you're off of that. So in order to get back onto it, when you're in edit mode in the tab, if you select everything and then you can move it, that origin point doesn't move. So now we're back here, and when I scale, now it works a little bit better. Back into front mode, G and Z to grab and move down. After this one, I think we're ready to jump in the engine and do a little bit. So we'll scale this in on the X, in on the Y, tab, 3, face select this top one, I to inset it. I hope I'm not going too fast or speaking too quickly. Sometimes I do, but oh. We're gonna apply our scale real quick and then try insetting it. Get a little bit more evenly distributed. E to extrude it down. Just like that. And then I want it to kind of have a little, we'll make the other one have the arch. So here is the base of our treasure chest. It will need one thing though. It'll need a little latch on the front. So let's select this face. Shift D to subtract it, or to duplicate it, a separate copy. Shift or G and Y to move it out. Scale it down, scale it on the X, scale it on the Z. What happens if I extrude it out like that? That's fine, that's dynamite. Don't need to be that big though, so we'll just grab it like that. And then I'll control and click plus everything. You can tap that as many times as you need to. If the faces are not actually connected, you can do that all day and it won't select anything but what you got. So I'm gonna move it back. Move it up to about here, and then I'll just scale it. And then what we could actually do is I'll just take this, I'll Shift D to duplicate it, move it to the back, R to rotate on the Y axis 90 degrees, move it in a little bit, and up a little bit. Let's go into the side views so we can really tell. Right there, and then right there. And then I'll move this to the side, and this will work as like our hinge. But it doesn't need to be that thick, so I'll just do right there. Back into the side view. G and Y. Shift D to duplicate it, move it right. till it looks about even. And you know what? That's close enough. And this can be the treasure chest base, and those are automatically attached. So I'm going to add a material. This will be the treasure chest, the wooden color. And then we'll select that face, and that face. Oh, they were touching, so it did actually select the other ones. So I thought they had to be fully connected, but I guess since they're one object. Alright, so I'm just going to control plus one time. And then that'll select all the outside faces. We don't really got to worry about the back face anyway. So this is the chest base. And then this one will be the iron works. And then we'll make that kind of a, you guessed it, like a little bronzish, orangish color. Assign that. And then there's our chest base. So we'll export this. We're going to export this separately because this is going to be a piece that moves. So we're going to have a separate lid that will actually be able to open. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back into tab mode once that's exported. And I'm going to Shift D and move up a duplicate of the bottom. The reason I'm using the bottom is because it's the exact same size as the top. We don't have to try to guess or scale it down. And then I can just hit P to separate by that selection. And now this is its own separate piece. Now I can apply the scale, tab into edit mode, and extrude that up a little bit. Control R to add a few loop cuts down the middle. And now grab this middle one, hitting proportional editing, and then I'll G and Z. Let's see, connected only is still on. But yeah, it's gonna do that. So we'll just move this up like that. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll show you a little trick. So something nice like that. That looks decent. So what we can do is we could select all these down here. Scale them. Oh, no. Scale them on the Z down to 0. And that's actually, yeah, that's pretty easy to do. But let me show you one other thing in case you don't want to do that. This one's more tedious but can provide some more control for certain scenarios. So let's say you want certain vertices to be down in line with these and other ones maybe up higher or something. So right here is our snapping tool. So if I click this little drop down, I can select how I want it to snap to things. So for instance, if I want a vertex to snap to vertex, I just click that. Now if I go into vertex select mode, let's say I want this one to be in line with this one. I hit G on the keyboard. Oh, make sure this little magnet is selected. I hit select that one, grab it, and then if I hit Z to just move it up and down, when I hover over that vertice, it snaps to exactly its position. And you can do this like if you wanted this one to be in line with this one for some reason, you can do the same thing with any axis really. So it can really help lining up vertices if you need to. But I'm going to undo that because actually this is the easiest way to do it. But I thought that was important to know anyway. Let's move this up a little bit because I don't want it to just be flat underneath. So let's inset. I'm going to tap it twice so that it's like that. And scale it a little bit more. And then extrude it up just till it's right there, not snap. Oh, I'm going to turn snapping back off. Just like that. And then down, down, down. And then I'm going to tab open, this one's edit mode, and I'm going to select all this and duplicate it up. P to separate that one out. R to rotate it on the y-axis 90 degrees. I'm going to move it back in line with the previous version of itself. Tab back out, then move it up. R, Y, 90. You know what? It'll work. I can make it work. We can make it work. We got this. We'll just line it up right there. And then we'll move it out so that it sits in line with this one. And looking from the front, it's looking not bad. Now I'm going to edit it. I'm going to add 2 loop cuts. Scale them away from each other on the X. Grab this bottom face and extrude it down. And then scale it on the X so that it sits right in there. That'll also help us line it up a little bit better. So now I'm going to inset this front face, scale it together on the X. Grab these 4 faces, 5, 6 faces, and just pull them out a little bit so that it looks like a latch lock. And then we'll just add one more material called accent, and we'll just make this a black color. Select this face, Control plus to increment, and then we will assign that. And that's looking pretty good. So we don't want to just well, let's grab this, and then Control J to join them. But we don't want to export it just like this. We want it to be at this height. Oh, no we don't. No, we don't even want that. So I'm going to move it down. We're just using that to line it up where we want it. But let's hide this chest. Move this down. I got confused for a second. Because we want it to line up right there. So we want it to be the back of it in line with the blue line and the top of it in line with the green. And the reason for that is right here is where it's going to hinge open. Because this is going to act as this thing's origin point. So we want to be able to set it directly on top of our chest and then have it be able to actually open. It'll ignore this one. Don't worry about this one. This one only affects Blender. So this is chest lid. So we got our chest base, now we got our chest lid. Dynamite. Alright, let's save. I guess we don't have to save, but I did. I haven't saved since the banner. Dang. Let's go back into Unreal. And it's going to get messy in here. Let's create a folder called Textures. I'm going to move all of these into here. Let's save everything real quick. And now let's import everything we just made. So we got the banner already. Bench, bookshelf, bench, bookshelf, chair, chest, chest lid, cup, table, mug, plate, wall sconce. Now let's import all those. We want it to create the materials and everything. And now we might want to sort these materials out and away from everything. So what we can do is click right here. This will add a filter to your content browser. And let's say I want to single out materials, so I do that. But I'll also need folders. Type filters. Well, I can get to it right here. So let's just grab all of these by clicking this one, and then shift clicking the last one will select everything in between. And just move that to the textures folder. So how about them nicks? I actually don't know what that means. I just always hear it during awkward silences, like this one. Let's save. Get rid of that material filter. And then we can start going around and decorating a little bit more. Sweet. So let's add like a bench here. And maybe some sconces around the wall. Rotate it around. And we can Alt and click in order to add a secondary one. Then we've got a bookshelf. I don't know why there's a bookshelf here, but it's a fun little thing to have, and it'll come in handy when we decorate the dorms in a little while. And then let's say you got like this is gonna open up into like a community kitchen type area, so I'll just grab this, turn on my snapping here, and just like that. Alright, and then we will take this up into, it's hard to tell, but you can kind of see a little bit of a line right there, so I'm just trying to aim it for right in the middle as best as I can. Does not have to be perfect. And then let's check it out in lit mode. Let's move this wall. Let's grab this wall, move it up, rotato, move it this way. Where's that pillar? It's right here. Oh. Man, we might need to replace this thing. Let's grab this wall right here for this back one. I'll just Alt and click and duplicate it over. And it just lines up like that since it's already oriented to be on that side of a we'll put a pillar there. Then we'll grab this wall, take it all the way here. And then last one here. And then let's say this way is the way that the door goes. Level assets. Ah, that's where the pillar was. So I'm going to highlight my doorway wall, right click, and we can replace that one with a door, that one with a door. Why not? Then what we can do in here is we can add another bench. I'm going to turn off my grid snapping for a little bit. Switching back and forth between Blender and Unreal, the key binding or the key shortcuts gets confusing sometimes, doesn't it? So E to rotate here and W to shift into your move tool. So let's just take this and then rotate 90 degrees. Shift select and move, or shift click and move in order to move along with it to help us line it up a little bit nicer. Then we can add a few of these lunch table thingies. Let's say this is like a dining area for the knights when they're not on patrol or doing whatever. So we'll just add one here, and then here. Alt clicking to duplicate. I feel like I repeat myself too much, but just in case, some people might be like me and struggle with remembering things like that. So we'll move one maybe about here, and then another one here. And we don't want them all to be looking the exact same, so let's grab this one, E, and rotate it a little bit. Rotate a little bit. You just don't want them all to be the exact same. Now we can set some of these chairs around. And same basic idea, just set, we'll set like 2 or 3 per table. Something about like that looks nice. Oh, I'll actually line them up right. Something about like that, and then we'll grab all 3, duplicate, and move them around. Duplicate and move them around. And then one more time. Then we'll grab a few of them and just give them a little bit more flair. Just so that they're not all exactly the same. It's good to have variation. You don't want to walk in and be like, oh, this is just the same thing repeated over and over again. It needs to have even just a little bit of a difference can make a big difference, honestly. Where's my mug? Oh, I was looking right at it. Now we'll just add a few plates around. Feel free to just go nuts, decorate to your heart's content. You can even make them different sizes, like let's say this table had a display plate, so we'll just set one right in the middle. R to go into scale, and then just scale it up. There we go. Now we'll set in some cups. I must have exported this one. Yeah, from the table. So there's a nice little lesson. Oh, if something like that happens, hey, let's just do this. Let's go back into Blender. Just select everything, delete. Let's import that cup. So it's on the desktop. Cup. And then the way you would fix this is just set it right in line with that red line. File, export, FBX. Find that same cup right there. Limit to selected objects, geometry, smooth the face, and then we'll export that. And then when we go back into Unreal, what we can do is import that cup. And it's going to say, do you want to overwrite the existing asset? If we say yes, now it's under the table. We can just move that up. And if we tap end on the keyboard, like if you have it something like this and you tap end, it'll snap down to the collision's on there, a little weird. Alright, so then we'll just set it manually onto the table. But now we can just grab and place. So I'll set a cup here. So that's a quick way of being able to set up or refix your positions in case something gets messed up. I have a feeling that mug is the same scenario. So just kind of decorating around, putting it where you want. It is totally that same scenario. Get out of here, cup. Import, FBX. Donde está la mug? Okay. Import. And then we'll just do the same thing. So this also works if you need to make material changes or anything you need to do. Just re-import it into Blender. Make your change. File, export. Make sure you select whatever you're trying to replace or fix. Export that mug. Go back into Unreal Engine. Import that mug. Open it up. Yes. And then we'll set this right there and there with a little bit of rotation. Since these have a handle, the other cups don't really matter which way they're rotated. They'll look the same from any angle. These have a handle, and so you can add some cool variation just by whoa. Alright. Just by giving them a little twist. Just like that. And then, hey, it's looking pretty good. It's awful bright in here, though. But that might be because of the post-processing. So we can come up here to the front and add in some barrels. I read it. Some crates. Kind of scale them around. Woo! Alright, there we go. Maybe a crate. Maybe this is like a wine cask they have over here. If you see something like that, just open up whatever material is there and make it two-sided. Now it's two-faced. Like most of the population seems to be. But not you guys. You guys are cool. I'm just kidding. Oh, but now look, when we come back, it's solid. Alright, so... Oh, here's going to be where our... No. Here's where our first chest is going to be. So I'm going to move this to the side. And move this to the side. And then in order to line up where we're going to position our chest, it doesn't have its functionality yet, but it will. But what we can do is have these chests selected, the base of it, and alt click to duplicate. Select the lid in your content browser, right click, and replace selected actors with chest lid. Oh. So we're going to need to re-export the chest lid. So let's go in here. Delete that mug. Crap. File. Import. FBX. Chest lid. Import. So what happened is its normals are inverted. So we're going to go into edit mode with tab. Control Shift N. Oh. That's the wrong one, isn't it? Yeah, there it is. Alright, so we're going to, oh, what happened? Gonna select everything, Control Shift in, and it'll recalculate the normals, and we want them on the inside. I think. Let's Control Shift in. Control Shift in. Let's kind of play around with it, I guess, until you figure out. Let's export that chest lid and re-import it. I'm gonna be so upset at myself. Alright, so Control Shift in, and it's supposed to be outside? It's probably the way I just did it. Because that's the way I do things. Do the same thing 2 or 3 times in a row. So let's import. Chest lid. Open. Yes. Hey, that got it. I did it. Alright, and then we'll just kind of line it up in place. Just like that. And then now when we actually open it, it'll open exactly like we want it to. Huzzah! So now you've got a bunch more stuff to go ahead and start decorating a little bit more, and a little bit more familiarity with Blender. Let's see what you come up with. Make up your own stuff. That'd be fun. That's a good little, like a little pseudo homework assignment, right? So before we exit, let's go ahead and save everything. Actually, let's see how long this video is. Yeah, that's good for a part. Alright, I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.